chapter 16, part 3. So we're starting to look at the Northern Renaissance, and you get into more detail and precision. And what we're looking at here with the ambassadors, these are two ambassadors from France in England. So this is in the court of Henry VIII, and it kind of, if you've ever seen an image of Henry VIII with his poofy sleeves and the coat to the knee and the chains and so on, he looks very much dressed in that time. And this fellow over here is a priest or a bishop. Sorry, he's the bishop George de Selve, and this is Jean de Dinteville. I always try to say this. I say it kind of wrong, but these two fellows come from France. They're in Henry's court. They, of course, are Catholic and aligned with the Pope, but Henry VIII is starting to break from the Catholic Church and the Pope. So there's so much symbolism in here, actually, and so much detail. I mean, just look at those curtains. I could stare at those for hours. It's just absolutely stunningly gorgeous. It's in the National Gallery in London nowadays, and if you stand right here, unfortunately our book has it in the interior fold of the book, but if you stand right here, you can see the skull. And I suppose if you did the computer screen, I guess that kind of works, but you have to tilt it and sort of look from the bottom. But you'll see this skull, human skull down here. And it's meant as sort of a strangely subconscious piece. Now, we are, 400 years away from surrealism. It hasn't happened yet. But playful things of showing off your painterly skills like that do occur. And there are some other ones where you can view it like you're walking down the hallway, and then when you get up there, it looks like a weird blob. So the skull is here. This is the back of the head. The jaw is here, and the eyes are here, and the nose is there. But anyway, you can take some time to look at it. So we're breaking from the church, back to our point. I'm sorry I got off on a tangent so badly there. There's a crucifix here, which you can barely see. It's hidden. And then that's one symbol of the break with the church. Another is this lute. This is a precursor to the guitar. It has a broken string, kind of meaning disharmony, if that makes sense. He also has, I think he has his arm on a hymnal right there. Oh gosh, there's so many details in here. Oh, Dinteville's personal motto was Memento Mori, and that's partly why, on a personal level, this is here. Everyone, remember you must die. All of us do die, so that was a bit of a morbid image, but it has to do with the religion, the Catholic Church being separated in the Reformation. So we're getting into that era. There's a lot of travel symbols here with a globe and some things for astronomy and mathematics. And we have an Islamic prayer rug. So it's about world travel. It's about music and study of the time. But it's also commenting on the split with the church. But so much detail, beautifully crafted, and just an absolutely stunning painting. Still in the Northern Renaissance. And we're technically past the peak. If you go back and you look at our dates, the 1520 is the end of the High Renaissance, but it starts in Italy, which is quite far south for Bruegel and for Holbein. And so once it moves north, it sort of takes on a different style a little bit, and it has a lot more detail and symbolism, but also you can't really say, oh, well, this is not High Renaissance because it's 40 years past that date, because this is moving north and it didn't have a chance to flourish at an earlier time, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit delayed, but look at this fantastic piece from Bruegel. And here we are, we're not even showing anybody formal or important, kind of like when we were looking at our piece from the Lindbergh brothers, similar to that, where we're just looking at daily life. These guys are in the middle of the harvest. They're taking a lunch break. The focal point, is a variety of things, but look at this. We're looking out on the landscape. We're looking at the fields. We're looking at this fellow here coming in from the wheat that's in process. This could be your focal point as well. But the idea is that there's a lot going on, and so it's just sort of a beautiful piece recording the time. So scholars say 1520, but when we're in the north, it's a little bit different. So the mannerism is coming from the stylishness of the painting. I just cannot bear mannerism. I don't know why. Renaissance is amazing. Once we get into this, it's just not my favorite thing. So this is the Last Supper with Tintoretto. And Tintoretto's Last Supper, compare that to our earlier Last Supper with Leonardo. This is just this wild goings on. It's at a diagonal, the table. It's much more dynamic, first of all, with this diagonal. But we have all these sort of spirits and angels floating around. We've got all these bodies arched over and a lot more dialogue. Christ is on his feet, and there's just a ton of interaction. There's a woman here looking like she's filling water dishes, and just a lot of activity and a lot of other characters and so on going on here. But this is mannerism. So partly it grew out of, they were very influenced by Michelangelo's painting. And then they also go for elaborate or obscure subject matter. So we're going to look at Bronzio. And Bronzio has more of mythological characters. There's no more attempt to try to do one-point perspective or put ourselves in a real space. We start to get in this sort of strange imaginary space. It's chock full of figures and heads and all kinds of things. So it's allegory with Venus and Cupid. Kind of suggestive, well, very suggestive, and just a little bit out there for that time period. So we're still sort of in the Renaissance, but this is mannerism, and this is called allegory, and it's a little more about forbidden or erotic activity, and you'd have these S-shaped poses, like, turning the whole body, and you'd see much more activity and dynamism. And you'll see this in the Baroque, so you'll kind of see where this is going. So just kind of look over sfumato. That's an important in chiaroscuro. That is shading to make things look three-dimensional, although it's a painting. And we covered quite a bit of all this, so hopefully you have a good sense of what we're doing.